Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we'll go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the ruins of the Illuminati HQ in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brett.
I'm the pod butcher, Trask now.
Alliance
Assemble.
Nice. I wasn't
Volume
expecting that.
110. And last minute, Mr. Snell decides to join us into this because, as he reminded us, that he has not gotten a chance to talk about this new trailer.
No, and people know that I've been on vacation, but my vacation, I was supposed to be coming back tonight, but I came back a little early thanks to sick children. But the good thing is they're all good. They're watching and can't do. It was a very fun trip. We saw lots of fishes, but I saw these guys were about to go live. I'm like, well, everyone's sleeping. My food's still on the way. I want to talk about some Thor, and I want to see Chris and Brent for a little bit. So not Clay. Clay, if you're in the chat, don't even think about it. Just go out. You actually got some Star Wars content today, so that's good. But I'm excited for this Marvel content because Thor, Daredevil, you guys had a good week, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know why Daredevil's not our top story, but whatever.
well, no, I don't know why Madam Web is not our top story. I mean,
that's true.
You know, normally I'd go with you on that, but not on a Daredevil news week.
Yeah. So, how's your week been, Brent?
It's been busy. It's the last week of school in my district. We amazingly have a week between the last week of school and summer school starting, which I don't think has ever happened. So I don't know how this gift has been bestowed upon us, but it gives us so much time to do all this stuff we have to do when normally we're scrambling or working until 11 or 11 at night. 1 in the morning. Had a day till 1 in the morning last year. Don't have to do that this year, so it's all right.
And your trip went overall pretty well, Iceman?
Yeah, no, it was good because, I should have changed that. That's the last cast I did was a Top Gun review. But yeah, no, it was pretty good because of COVID. We had not seen a lot of my dad's side of the family with especially the two little ones. So this time it was great. I'll probably post on social media, but it was great. We got my grandma there, and then she was there with the 9 sets of great grandchildren she's had and stuff like that. So it was really cool that way to say her with the great grandchildren, just say, look, you created all this, you did this. So it was lots of fun. Lots of people have been waiting to see for the past 2 years because of restrictions and stuff like that. So it was a good trip overall, and we got a good weekend. I had Star Wars celebrations happening, Top Guns out, which I know Chris you've already seen, Stranger Things, and then like Marvel's just around the corner. You know, like it's a good time to be a geek. So awesome times.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week for me this week. It started off with a tornado literally touching down on my street. Thankfully,
Scary.
we're all okay. And the damage that was done to that part of the neighborhood, no lives lost. It's just some damage and things like that. So it's been scary. It's last full week of school before exams next week. So kids are a little bit ornery and getting a little crazy. We're all getting antsy. And like you said, got to see Top Gun Wednesday night, so that was, I'll just say, it's outstanding. It is a movie that truly does need to be seen in the theaters. So
is Iron Man in it?
Is Iron Man in it?
Is Iron Man in it?
He's the villain, didn't you know?
Yeah.
He creates his own villain. So
yeah,
I'm hoping to see that one. I'm hoping. So we'll find out.
It'll be good. It is definitely worth seeing. But yeah, so we got a lot to talk about tonight, and to let us get these lovely network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 shows. On Mondays, you've got Ranger Alliance alternating bi-weekly with Slice of Film, and I believe Slice of Film is dropping back-to-back, and this week it's dropping their Top Gun Maverick reviews. So be on the lookout for that. DC Alliance goes live on Tuesday, Super Discussion Wednesday. Star Wars Alliance might have a little bit to talk about, very quickly. You got Obi-Wan, you got that celebration thing. They might have a little bit, and Clay actually might be happy about talking about Star Wars. And hey, he might be actually happy talking about some DC stuff this coming week too. He's not going to be all depressed, so we're very happy for him.
That depresses me. I don't like it.
It's like Batman being happy when he smiles. He's like, oh, this isn't right.
It's uncomfortable.
Is it more like Sheldon smiling? I think Sheldon smiling is definitely off-putting.
Yes.
All right, we got this show on Fridays, and Walk Through the Multiverse alternating is going bi-weekly, but very soon, as soon as The Boys starts coming out, I believe as soon as next week, they will be going weekly, so be on the lookout for that. And then my show is making its return in its new slot on Sundays monthly. A new episode will be dropping Sunday morning, so be on the lookout for that. A new guest, one of my buddies from OPB, will be making his entrance into World's Finest True Believers, so be on the lookout for that. And I think that's all the show plugs. Oh, yes. And so if you want to watch any of these shows live, some of these shows live, DC Alliance goes live on Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Geekverse YouTube podcast channel. And Star Wars Alliance goes live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays. And then this show goes live on Thursdays at 9:10 Eastern Standard Time. But be on the lookout if you're listening to this on Friday, live on Friday, Star Wars will be going live going over the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and maybe a little bit of celebration talk as well. So be on the lookout for that. Some hosts from the GUA network will be joining in on that.
Yeah, you too, Chris, right?
Apparently, me too. I said I'll try. I'm not denying. I said I'd try.
Card subject to change when advertisers false advertise.
I've got to get in the episodes first at that point, because I think it'd be rather odd if I jump on the show and say, I haven't seen it.
Well, we don't know runtimes yet, right? We don't know what we're going to be in store for when we open up this morning.
My buddy David tells me that he heard from reliable sources they're 45 minutes. I don't know what his sources
so that means
were,
20, right?
2 12-minute episodes with credits.
With credits.
Perfect. Then I can definitely get them in before work.
Exactly.
They're as long as What If.
But I'm actually hoping for like 30 to 40 minutes so I can definitely get them before work. We'll find out.
Yeah, I think I'll probably get first episode in. Second episode probably will happen after work at that point. But it might happen. We'll see. Like I said, it's been a long week, but I'll try. And so be on the lookout for that. And DC Alliance, Star Wars Alliance, and Marvel Alliance all have solo feeds separate from the GUA feed. So if you want to check those out and do that as well, we appreciate it. And we also have a Patreon. So if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got 2 tiers. We got the dollar tiers, our tip jar. You're saying you're thinking we do a good job. And then we've got our $5 tier, which is our ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive shows. We dropped episode 5 this week of We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU rewatch, Iron Man 2. So that was a fun time. I believe that dropped. What was it, Tuesday?
Tuesday,
Brent?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep. So
I mean, I scheduled it, but it was just an arbitrary day this week that I picked.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you want to join us on Patreon, if you have not joined us, go to www.patreon.com/GUA network, and you can enjoy all that lovely content that we, again, thank you, patrons. We can't do this without your support. And we want to thank one of our newest patrons, Josh Green. Thank you for joining the GUA Patreon, and we hope you are enjoying all the lovely bonus content.
Yes, thank you.
And second to last but not least, if you have 30 to 90 seconds, can you rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, whatever podcast your choice may be? We greatly appreciate that. And finally, last but definitely not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with immaculate packaging, impeccable customer service, ships around the world. They just dropped some of the new solicits for the upcoming month at that point.
That Venom cover is great.
Yeah.
I had not seen that Venom one.
Yep. So the Epic Collection, we got a little new Star Wars Legends Epic Collection, the New Republic. Hey, look at this. Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham, the Complete Collection Volume 2 is coming out for all you Peter Porker fans.
Oof, talk about a good cover, that Moon Knight cover. Nothing better than superheroes in the snow, you know?
Yep.
It's good stuff.
Daredevil by Miller and Jansen is getting its first reprint in many, many years at that point. So we got 2 new covers with that. Captain Marvel first time in omnibus, and also first time in omnibus format, as one has been highly in demand, but it's finally happening. House of M omnibus is coming out next year.
Wow, it's the first. That took a while. I swear I thought that had happened before, but those are some great covers as well too. I prefer probably that blue one up there, but that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's the first time. The other one I think that everyone's kind of waiting on, and it's made Omar from Near Mint Conditions top 20 is Civil War. It has not been in omnibus format yet.
Really?
So Nope,
Yeah.
has not been in omnibus format. So that'll probably take 2 volumes to get that entire
Oh, absolutely,
collection
yeah.
in.
I
But
would have lost a bet on that. I would have thought for sure Civil War had been.
no, not yet. So Dr. Aphra coming back into print. So again, if you want to let them know and shop them, use that code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. Use it an unlimited amount of times. Lets them know that you're a listener, and we'd like to thank them, as always, for being an official sponsor. All right. We've got a trailer, and I was pretty surprised. Not only do we got this, but mainly because we got it this soon. I was not prepared for this trailer, and we actually knew this was coming. So thanks to Chris Hemsworth and the crew over at Thor
I mean,
Love and
you
Thunder.
you say this soon, and like it feels like it compared to the last one, but we're only 43 days out from the movie. You know, it's not that far.
I guess I'm along with Chris though, because we just got that teaser like not too long ago. Because we got that the week before Strange, right? I think.
Yeah, or the week of, yeah.
Yeah, so even like so what it was like if we got the week of that was in May and we're
Yeah,
still
so
in
I
May.
take it back. So yeah, I think it was a week before. You're right, because Give Strange.
Yeah, so it's been probably about like a week or so. I thought they still were gonna hold off till June a little bit, even though it's like what July 7th is the official date, 7/6 or something for Thor. Should be there somewhere. But yeah, I was not surprised because like they got big playoffs going on. That's always a good time. They love that cross marketing. But it did feel like, man, we just got this teaser. And again, though, this is a little bit of we're still gonna see this in 2023, the backlog of a lot of movies being pushed and stuff like that. I think this would have had like a much wider marketing push if you had the space, but they've had, last year 4 movies, lots of projects. Like we even look at this now with, with Star Wars Celebration, you have now Star Wars and Marvel shows overlapping. Some I think they could avoid, but still it's just there's a influx of content of the past few years that has been, hey, let's get this out now. So
for the record, the teaser was April 18th.
Okay.
So a month
2
and a
weeks.
week, a month and 2 weeks or something like that. So okay.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things. I was more expecting this like maybe next week or the week after, just like the beginning of June. I was more expecting this to kind of be announced with tickets on sale. So we're probably get another tickets on sale, maybe a short little teaser with it at that point. So Leslie in the chat saying hashtag not my gore. Again, here's the thing: no one will ever take that from you. What Jason Aaron did, so don't.
I'm gonna break in your house, Leslie. I'm gonna take it. This is my gore now, but
no, it's my gore.
Yeah,
but yeah. So yeah, we'll do what we always do. We'll keep we'll do the trailer in the background, smaller format, no sound or anything, so you can go along with us at home. But it opens, with again him meditating, and the planet, it looks to be, we got a little more of the planet at this point, but the planet is probably from Jason Aaron's run of Indigar, and that planet is populated by these blue aliens that we saw in the previous trailer, and the people ended up praying to Thor to help them, and upon arriving he discovered this was because the planet had no gods of their own. And it was the first planet he'd ever come across like this. So the entire population had turned to atheism and thought that the gods were just fairy tales.
This dude with a hammer crashes down and everything like that. But yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, because you don't have to pause here because that's where the Korg thing happens. But everyone's kind of having fun theorizing. Do you think this is actually in the movie? And if so, when do you think it actually is? Because I've heard like tons of people, Twitter, even when I listen to Geekverse, trying to figure out, okay, is this something just made specifically for the trailer, or is this somewhere? I don't think it's made for the trailer. I think it's in the movie. But what do you guys think for where it could be placed?
I think it could be a mixture of both. Like some of it could be in the movie, and the other thing could be him adding it in, just because, especially with that line when we see, the mighty Thor, Jane Foster is like, 100%. Oh, is it? It just, I don't know, because Taika's always wanted to have fun with this kind of stuff, so I could see maybe half and half. So,
I don't think that Thor is dead. Which I know some people think that's what this is, and he's like telling this history. I kind of thought maybe it was just a thing of like the main adventure was wrapped up. We're in the last 10 minutes of the movie, things are winding down, and Korg is just, like come around the campfire and let's tell a story of Thor. Like that's kind of what I thought it was.
See, I could see this being in the middle portion, kind of taking a chapter out of an honor of Star Wars Celebration, Return of the Jedi, where C-3PO has that moment. He kind of explains the whole trilogy to the Ewoks.
Hmm.
I could kind of see this where maybe this is he's met Jane, and just a little bit after that, and it's catching some of it up. And yeah, no, I think we've all kind of said this. I've never once thought he was going to be killed off, and this is not a spoiler. This is an interview Taika said. They asked him in some interview, I can't remember who it was with. So like, oh, is this like a handoff? And he's like, I don't know what Marvel's future plans are. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's not what I intended, or that's not what I foresee this movie as. So
Hmm.
pretty much just saying that whether she's the main Thor, Mighty Thor, whatever, if he retires, I don't see him being killed off. We've talked about this before. He wants to, but I think they are being pretty clear that it's not a handoff movie. If anything, it's just an introduction to a new hero and then a continuation of Thor Odinson's story. I don't think it's the same equivalent to Steve Rogers to Sam Wilson. I think this is just a Tom Holland Spider-Man with a Toby and Andrew of like, oh, here's another, addition to you. So
Sure.
Well, it could be, would it be interesting to like we throw Luis from Ant-Man in here and have him and Korg tell the story? That would be kind of fun.
I feel like Korg's so slow he wouldn't understand because
I would like to see that happen and find out.
Yeah.
So we get some of the scenes we saw in the last trailer.
Mm-hmm. Hemsworth just looking jacked as usual.
So here we got we got the Guardians. They're my guess is they're gonna go to Thor for help fighting a threat on the planet, and after the battle's over, they're gonna fly back, probably searching for Gamora. Do you think that the Guardians are gonna come back in the movie after the beginning?
For some reason, I think they do, only if it's for small thing, because the trailers have been kind of mixed and everything, but I don't know where this all fits. My suspicion, though, I'm the reverse Chris, that I think he's been with the Guardians the whole time, and he's just been like, yeah, and I think he's just like a hassle, and whatever happens in the middle point, he has to leave. I could see them appearing again, even if it's just an end credit scene. I could, especially they've shown in this trailer too that shot of him and Korg looking up. That could be Mighty Jane flying away, whatever it may be, but that could also just be the Guardians flying away too, right? Because but if you had to ask me, what do you 100% think? I think, okay, they're in the beginning, then they're gone. But I don't think it's out of the realm possibility they're in this again later on.
I don't think they will be in the second or third acts. Maybe a credit scene. I can see a credit scene setting up their next movie, talking about probably the search for Gamora. But I really feel like they are a Act 1 type of thing, because there's going to be a lot to do with both Gore and the Mighty Thor going on.
Yeah, I do like, again, we get him in his Thunderstrike kind of Ravager vest he's got going on. So we get a look at new Asgard in the background. You're getting some kind of gold buildings there, kind of modeling what the original Asgard looked like.
Yeah, but what's terrible is they got tour boats there. So Asgard's just going to be riddled with people just taking pictures with the hammer and everything. Looks awful. Odin's turning in his grave somewhere,
I mean, he faded away. He's not in a grave.
Yeah, he's dust.
Yeah.
And this looks kind of like that they're, after the drop-off happens, where him and Korg are on Sakaar. So will we see the Grand Master again?
I do think so. I think he'll have a small presence, but I would be very disappointed if it's not this movie. Don't see him in general, because I love Golden as a Grandmaster. So I think it's going to happen.
If they go back to Sakaar, then yes, we'll see him.
Yeah, we get our little preview in the background or foreground here with the two goats. They're going to be carrying the chariot at that point. But you notice, like, Thor's going through a lot of different costume changes. He's got the Guardians one, and then when he hits hits the ground with Stormbreaker, changes into this one. He's later on going to go through a different new costume at that point. So it's definitely pretty interesting to see. Kind of it's all about him figuring himself out.
And we did also see simply an ending game when he won battle armor. He just called the sky and had battle armor, right? So it could just simply be fight scene, not fight scene, fight scene, not fight scene.
Yeah, and that shot where you had it paused right there is a pretty cool transformation shot.
So. Yeah. So we get the training again. Goes from dad bod to god bod, with the Benatar in the background.
This shot I really love of it's coming up here with Mjolnir, and he's so happy that it's about to happen, and it's not there for him.
he's fighting these giant bugs in New Asgard, and from what I've kind of gathered of watching this, I think they might be the Royal Nexans. These are characters that have attacked Asgard in the comics from time to time. So maybe they're trying to take out New Asgard since they're not at the peak of their power. So yeah, so we'll get to. Oh, there he is. There's Mjolnir.
Just so happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. I will say, like, even more than Ragnarok, this is the most I feel like he's felt like Party Thor from What If, which I don't have a problem with. I know there's one line coming up that some people found too goofy. I think it just fits with what Taika is doing with him, whether you like that or not. But yeah, his comedic timing is great with this Mjolnir cell. So
yeah, so reaches for it, and and the one and only Thor. Oop, I spoke too soon.
yeah.
All right, that's so before we get into kind of the the interesting look at this, what he's looking like right here. So this is kind of a combination, this helmet, this kind of suit he's got right now, between King Thor armor and the armor from the Walter Simonson run, where he was actually cursed with brittle bones at one point, so he needed a stronger armor. But like this helmet definitely is from that run, and the helmet looks cool. It's just not definitely not ready for prime time.
No, I don't understand the need, because so people have complained about Thor in his helmet for years that he barely wears it, right? So I find it odd that all of a sudden he's gonna be wearing it again here, and then when he is wearing it, it doesn't look the greatest. I feel like, especially, I don't know what's happening in this battle scene, so we'll see. But we've already seen in this exact scene where he doesn't have the helmet on. I don't think Thor does need the helmet. I'm fine if he does, but I don't think he does. And if it is, again, we got some months, so I hope this will look better. But this is almost the reverse. We talk about the floating head things that they have had a couple times in the MCU. This is the floating helmet now. Like, this is something on top of the head. And that's my biggest thing. It feels kind of like the She-Hulk trailer where there's a landscape and She-Hulk's like a sticker. This feels like you have a picture of Thor and it's a kid's book and the helmet's a sticker. It just does not look like it fits. It looks too big. It does not look correct. And for me, it's just like, if it's going to look like this, then don't do it. This is the thing that worries me, is like they shot it one way and like, just put a helmet on him. I don't think you need to worry about, will they be able to tell which Thor is which Thor? Like, I think you can tell the difference of Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth just even from their face. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this. I've harped on it a lot that I think some of the weakest phase 4 or some of the weakest CGI has been in phase 4. And I think that's because they're moving too fast or they're putting out too much content, because I just think this wheel's just moving. Hopefully when we get to the movie, I'll see and go, okay, that looks a lot better. But I don't think they should have had in the trailer whatsoever, in my opinion. It looks not great.
It could be in a sense of like, he's going to find this helmet and put it on. Like, I agree. They don't need to do a CG necessarily helmet, but I think it's almost going to be kind of silly in the sense of he's going to find the helmet and put it on. And it's not going to fit. Maybe that's part of the joke, but I don't know. What do you think, Brent?
The actual design of the helmet, I'm fine with. Like, if you
agree.
Show it to me in a vacuum, sure. Now, I will straight up tell you, like, the Thor's look that this is drawing from the comics with, like, the full face mask and stuff, not my favorite helmet of his by any means. His classic helmet is, I'm like, that one or nothing. It looks a little too big on his head. Like, okay, you need another pass. You need a little more work. Fine. If we don't get the Wolverine mask, though, I'm going to be pissed now. Because I'm like, look at this thing. Like, this thing, it's like Wolverine's mask. Like, the way they've got the stuff going on the sides. I'm like, no, just... That's what I see, is like he's doing a Wolverine impression here. I'm like, that's what I want to see now. Logan, I want to see some claws. Let's do this.
Oh God, you scared the hell out of me right there saying that. I do not. I want that, but I hope it's like Cap, where it's an actual fit. Like, you can have some CGI enhancements, but I hope there's a physical piece to it, because the thing is with this helmet, to me, it doesn't look like it's physical at all. Like, they put it on after, which might not be the case, but I really hope, even if it's like Tom Holland's Spider-Man suit, where there's a blend of, there's CGI suits, but then there's physical suits. If I get a Wolverine mask that's CGI the entire time, oh my God, I'm going to be like, I'm going to be rolling over my grave. I'm not even dead yet. Like, I hope there's a physical headpiece to the Wolverine suit when we get it. I really do.
Everything being CGI, everything.
There probably is a physical mask that he wore during some of this movie. They're probably, like, most of these times, like, there is a physical thing that they are just enhancing or whatever, but it needs a little work. It looks too big for his head right now.
Yeah.
Also, I will say, because I feel like I've seen pushback on that, I love the color scheme. I know some people said it just looks too colorful, too bright. I love the Thor color scheme, and it works great because if you're having her and Hermione Jane with almost that classic Thor, like Asgard look, it's great to give him a little bit of a difference. But I just like it. I'm interested to see if they actually have a story point of why is his armor this color now, opposed to just what it was in
I
the
don't think they
past.
need one. I don't think they need one any more reason than like Captain America's had like 4 different versions of his costume or 5 different versions of his costumes. You know,
But
like Spider-Man's the only one that they've ever made like story points out of. Maybe Iron Man, I guess.
But I feel like with Iron Man it evolves. With the other people though, it's just like, oh, it's a new suit. I feel like because most of the time we've seen it in the past when the armor comes, it has a very similar color aesthetic. The armor might be different, but the color's different. So even if it's like a mood ring and this is like like something to do with that, I find it's odd that we've had all the way in Endgame and he's just been black and silver, right? And then all of a sudden he's blue and yellow. Now, this is not a thing that I'm going to dock at points. I am just interested to see is there a difference? But either way, I really like that how colorful it is. I'm down for always more color in these suits. So
I bet if there's any comment about it, it comes from Korg and it's a joke.
yeah. I agree.
But like I said, he's gone through now. This will be the 3rd or 4th one just in this movie alone that he's changed into. So it's fitting his trying to figure out who he is again and what he's going to feel most comfortable with. So, you know, him seeing Jane and realizing it's Jane at that point. So with New Asgard burning in the background. So we get Valkyrie on Pegasus at that point. So we're definitely going to see a lot more action from her in this movie too.
Now, do you guys have? I saw some stuff going on, but I didn't get to look into the trip. Some people said in the poster there was like a Sif Easter egg or something like that. Is that true or not?
I'd have to pull it up
because she's still not confirmed for this, right? Like
she's in. No, she's confirmed.
But is it confirmed? Like it's been put out in a press release, or is she just saying, "Hey, I'm happy to be here. My scene's going to be cut though in a day." You know, like what I'm saying is like my theory though that has nothing to do with it. My theory is I think they're going to have Sif and Valkyrie as a pairing. That's what I think is going to happen, like a romantic pairing, just to be clear.
Yeah. I'm looking it up right now.
Because I know she was posting stuff on Instagram and we got her in Loki. So she's been back in the family and stuff like that. I just think because we haven't seen her that much, I don't know when that could pop back in. I hope it's not just a scene where Gore just like, I don't know if Sif, does she count as a god in the MCU? Technically, I guess. So I hope it's not just a scene where it's like the Warriors 3 where Gore just takes her out and like, look, I've killed another one of your friends or something. But if not, my theory is that her and Valkyrie might be.
She's in the credits. She's in the credits on the poster.
So yeah, that's what, like I said, that's the only thing that worries me. I just don't want her to get Warrior 3'd and be gone in 5 minutes.
Deadline reported she was coming back, and she put on Instagram that the lady is back and she's here to stay.
Yeah.
Now she really dies. I'm gonna get a laugh out of it. Like, she's here to stay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Not so
No.
fast.
Either way, I just want to bring that because I saw Valkyrie and I think they might be an item. So
yeah.
Lots of guns in this trailer, meaning like the shoulders.
This is where
and
people
everything.
are getting kind of ornery about it too. The timeline being a little bit funny at that point. You know, was saying like, oh, it's been 4 or 5 years, and you know, Thor says 8 years, 7 months.
See, the question I think coming out of that's interesting is did Jane blip?
Yeah, I've seen that around too.
Yeah,
so her
we'll have to
sense of
see.
time is
Yeah,
off.
I
But,
kind of hope not, but
I mean, do you really think Thor's like being literal with the number of days there? Because I didn't take it that way.
it's one of those things for me. It's like if that would be an actual like problem for you in the movie, I think you gotta turn the fan stuff back on. Yeah, you can have that as a problem, but it's just like there's so much other things I'm looking for as like pros and cons that like did he get the exact date right of when they've seen each other?
I mean,
I
you know,
don't
somebody
care.
has already done the math on when like
Yeah.
Thor: The Dark World ended, like based on its release date. Or
Oh,
something.
they have. Oh, yeah. I give the Han Solo. I don't care. This is a stupid.
I know,
thing to
yeah.
do one.
We're gonna debate things. So
Yeah.
we can look at Olympus again. So, again, I do like the new suit.
Yeah. And
Oh,
kinda
the
setting
new
up-
suit is awesome.
They're setting up the whole. Oh,
Will they or
will they?
won't
Won't they? Yeah. And I think it's good because remember in Endgame they had a deleted scene where Thor was like tried to make the moves on Valkyrie, and she kind of insinuated like she's not into him. I'm really happy they cut that out because I think it fits better than being. And they even said that it played better than just being friends or colleagues than maybe being potential. Because if you watch Ragnarok, I do feel like at first they were trying to position them as a new couple or something like that. If you watch that movie, because it's kind of flirty, it's a little back and forth one-upsmanship. But then after that, it wasn't, and I'm glad they're gone. They're going this route, especially now Jane's back. But even then, like I think it worked better that way, and they have good chemistry. They were in Thor and in a not so great Men in Black movie. But
I'm just glad they deleted it. Deleted scenes, they don't count. Sorry, no one cares about deleted scenes. Great.
Yeah. We know how much you feel about director's cuts too.
No,
so.
Screw that. Screw that. Pointless.
So we begin getting our first look at Gore the God Butcher, played by the one, the only Christian Bale.
The GOAT, the actor.
Yep.
He looks great. He looks great.
This is where like you can like really tell. Okay, this is Christian Bale. Like there's no doubt about this. So, it's definitely a kind of a chilling look at, just a preview of Gore. In the comics, he comes from a harsh desert planet that had never-ending daylight, and because of the natives, because of that, they had to avoid the sun as much as possible because of the potential to kill them. So Gore was brought up by his mother, believing that the gods would take care of them, but she was attacked by deadly beasts and brutally killed, and he started to see things very differently. Then his wife also fell to her death while she was pregnant with her child. Gore and sick of having sick of having to do this, and went on an angry rant to his tribe, blasting the gods. So the tribe, being very devout to the gods, got very angry, and they were going to kill him for blasphemy. Instead, they just cast him out. And so he wanders through the desert when at his death ends up seeing two gods crash in front of him, and one of them being Null, the god of the symbiotes. He gets infected with the black goo from Null and ends up infecting him and powered him up and getting access to what he's reaching for, the sword in the comics. It's the all black, the Necro sword. And that we don't know. A lot of people are wondering, like, how is it going to be just a standard sword? Is it going to be the all black? How much of, quote unquote, are we getting close to somewhat the symbiotes coming into the MCU?
Null confirmed. He's the main bad guy. No, I think what they will do is almost very similar to the first Thor movie when the Infinity Gauntlet was in the trophy room, but it was really mentioned. I think they will mention that this is a special sword or something with it, but they won't get into specifics for it because, one, either it never happens and you didn't specify, or if something does happen in the future with symbiotes or more with Sony, you can lean into that if you really want to be like, oh, look, this has been here in the MCU the whole time, that sort of deal. But I know there's been a big debate ever since we've seen the toy. Like, I've read the Jason Aaron run. I've read it only once. I want to reread it. I might have to do that for Geek first. But I want to reread it because it's been a long time. I get the idea, but it was trending the day it came out, and I still think that's part of the reason. The reason he doesn't have the nose is because they don't want him to look just like Voldemort. And I guarantee you he would. I guarantee you he would. And at the end of the day, I know we had Josh Brolin and stuff like that, but if you ask, hey, can you going to take, and in my opinion, I know I get sometimes like flack for this, but I legitimately believe, I don't care about Brando or anything like that. I do think Christian Bale is the greatest actor of all time. I don't think if you look at when he started from when he was a kid, The Empire and Sun, all the way to now, there's no one that has the range that this guy has and how effortlessly. So if you're going to make me choose between getting Christian Bale with some paint on him or Christian Bale with a CGI green face, like the check marks and everything and morphing it, let the guy act. You got Christian Bale for a reason. And I like Josh Brolin. He even looked great as Thanos. But Brolin is not the same caliber to me as a Christian Bale. He's Academy Award.
Fair.
He's one of these guys that when he does a movie, maybe it's not the biggest box office in the world, but people take note because okay, he's going to transform into something. And my question for you guys is, we didn't see this exactly with Thanos, but Thanos, we got that moment right when he's explaining to Strange about Titan and he shows reality and then it comes back. Do you think we're going to see the actual events happen to his people, or do you think we'll see Gore after all that and he will tell that? Because I think with Bale, there's a strong chance you'll see him maybe with the wife, with a child, stuff like that, because we know he can sell this stuff. So my prediction and actually hope is that we see the bad stuff happen and then we maybe meet him years later.
Well, I mean, you look at this, it's definitely, this is a different planet. This is,
it's all green
in the sense
and
of
everything.
not a desert planet per se. So this is obviously early on before he starts, as we'll take from Star Wars, going to the dark side, as it were. So,
if you look up Gore the God Butcher in the comics, he does look like Voldemort. So if they want to avoid that comparison, Like you're absolutely right. You're not going to get Christian Bale just to cover his face up. Like what? I mean,
and
not that just anybody could do it, but like you have yes, Christian Bale, a great actor. Use him.
yeah, and the whole idea, again, it's adaptation.
Yeah.
He's Gore had tendrils. Guess what? This time he's not getting tendrils. If tendrils are going to be your make or break at that point, hashtag not my Gore, that's fine. I'm just saying it, but like everything can't be adapted. I mean, this is a cool scene right here with Valagor the Behemoth, who was the champion of the Tournament of the Mortals for 5 centuries, and he wrestled black holes for fun. So Gore taking him down, and if they're going to say that Thor, because in the comics, Thor is a friend of this god, seeing him take him down, or at least seeing the aftermath of it, is definitely, as you see Thor's worry, is just like, this is not someone to be like just trifled with. Don't take lightly.
Now I will say I agree with some other people that my hope is they did this with Hela in the trailers and she looked very serious, and then when we got to the actual movie she was joking a lot. I really do not want Bale quipping at all. I want him to be, if there's any quips, I want to be the same way Thanos was, where they weren't quips, but they were kind of cynical comebacks, stuff like that, where they're maybe funny to him, but I don't really want, like Hela had a lot of back and forth with oh god, why am I forgetting, the Executioner and like that stuff where
Scourge.
Yeah, Scourge. Whether the humor worked for you or not, the trailers did not set us up for Hela being like that. And we have had that recently with Moon Knight as well, where it was a little more funnier than it was let on. So I hope if Bale has this whole thing of losing a people, maybe losing a family, and he's here to kill gods, you can use him in some light situations, but I don't want him to be the center of that. And MCU has done that many times where the hero is not that. So I hope that they take that route with this one. You don't have to have a super serious, no kind of charisma, and he'll have charisma, but you know what I mean, villain all the time. But I think there's certain instances that call for it, and I think it would work here because I think a lot of the other stuff in the movie will be kind of funny or goofy or slapstick, and that works for me.
Yep. So we get another look at Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
Great names.
Yep.
And they're just chatting. And this
I
is cool.
love this shot. I'm
Yes.
sorry. That's just very cool that she's able to use the broken pieces of the hammer and throw them out. And
it goes into like the adaptation or inspiration from the comics, because in the comics she controls the hammer in ways that he never could. She's now doing something that he never could.
Yep.
I love it. Looks incredible.
Yeah, it looks cool. At first when I watched it, I was like, what is this? And it was awesome. And then she tells, and that's interesting when she says about her first bad guy. I'm interested to see, because that's been another debate too of how long has she been Mighty Jane. And I imagine she's been around fighting just goons or like lesser fodder, but for Gore to be the first one, it's gonna be interesting. And I think I've said this a few times. I think Christian Bale's character will perish. I don't think Bale is long for the MCU. He's a busy guy, but it's kind of fun her having her first like big time villain. So
yep.
That
changes the fact or fiction I was going to do tonight.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And we see
it's better.
We see Valkyrie using Zeus's lightning bolt, so we know, as we've all predicted, Zeus is also not long for this movie.
No.
So. But that's very, very cool.
So do you think that black and white scene, do you think that's like him versus Valkyrie and then later on him versus Thor, or do you think he's versing all three of them at once?
I think they're all facing each other down.
I agree. Yeah. And that's good too, because it makes more stake for Gore too. It's like Mighty Jane can't beat Mighty Thor. Like Thor, as a unit, they need to take him down, right? So
yeah. So we get this scene where a lot of call outs and little Easter eggs. We get the Living Tribunal, which we saw for a split second in Doctor Strange 2. We go to Uatu, the Watcher. We're
seeing him more and more each movie. Yep. Each movie, yeah.
Death, and I'm thinking that's Eon in the background, who is kind of a floating head, literally floating head, bestows the quantum band on Quasar, but also continues it also in the comics also the source of possibly Miss Marvel's powers in the MCU. So we'll see that
synergy.
Yes, exactly. It's all connected.
For real, Jeff Loeb.
Yeah. Great shot though. Just her that and I don't know if that's the first time she's getting the hammer. I don't think it is, but I feel like that's first time doing something. There's a lot of power going on right there.
A real first look at Russell Crowe's Zeus. Flick. Gotta love the back tattoo of Loki on the back. I know you're not a fan.
I
Mel.
that's where when Taika, he's like a stand-up comedian open mic night where he'll do 10 jokes and maybe 9 of them will hit for me, but there's one that really doesn't. The tattoos are too much for
Well,
me. I think
but-
that's just too cheesy.
but-
It's too like
But how
I think it fits. It shows his devotion to his brother. I think it
I
fits.
got another theory for you. What if it was a prank by Loki?
Even better. Even
I'd be down
better.
with that. I'd be down with that. If it's
Yeah.
him willingly sitting in a chair now, I guarantee the way they would retcon, but like put out there is like, well, he was drunk and he's having a good night, but they just look tacky and they just like anytime if he has a shirt off
mean-
now, it's I know that's the point, but that's where it's like that's where all like
That's
to me the
supposed- yeah.
humor does
You-
that one doesn't work for me.
Like it, you flick too hard, damn it.
And Hemsworth is massive.
Oh, I want to see, like, we know he's playing Hulk Hogan at that point, and he's even more jacked for that, for the pictures he was working
Yeah.
out for. Maybe, hopefully, he didn't miss leg day. Like,
And I know there's been hashtag Thor buttgate, but I imagine you'll see his butt in the movie. It's not going to
Yes.
be bleeped in the movie. If it was, then I'd be very thrown off if they just censored a movie. It's not Deadpool here, so.
Yeah. All right, to catch up, as always, Top Gun in the chat. I finally learned what ASMR stands for. Apparently,
You
after-
did? Okay, there you
well,
go.
apparently, it's my voice that's very soothing at
That's
that
good.
point. So, so he, thank you for joining. Brock in the chat. That headpiece, not a fan of that, and now apparently he can't unsee it, Brent, since you said, "Oh my God, it's totally
Good.
Wolverine."
He deserves it. Because he hates Wolverine, so good.
Oh, he does. Oh, okay.
Wow. Damn.
Brock says, "Do you think that scene will remain censored in the movie?" No,
No.
definitely not.
If they have a problem with it, it won't be in the movie at all. Like you wouldn't see a shot
Yeah.
of his butt. They would cut the scene or it'd be uncensored.
They just have to show it from the front, waist up, and you flick too hard, and that's it.
It's actually he's like, I won't do a butt shot, but I'll do full frontal. They're like,
Yeah, we'll
Right,
do
full
full
frontal,
yeah,
yeah.
it's PG-13, Chris. You're not doing full frontal.
Eternals opened the gate for that one. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
He saw that. He's
Literally.
like, I want to do that. and everything. But no,
So again, I'm been excited for this movie. I'm gonna have a good time with it. Again, if you weren't a fan of Ragnarok, you're not gonna be a fan of this. This is Taika doubling down, and I think one of the recent quotes I've seen from Taika is that this is the wildest movie he has ever done before.
And this is the thing, and I always put this preface on because obviously a lot of people that listen to this we know do their podcasts. If you are a content creator with a YouTube channel podcast, I get that because there's movies that I see that go, I don't know, like check out my Fantastic Beasts review. But the thing is, if you're not in that situation, if you're just a fan and you really did not like Ragnarok and you're not liking any of this, don't see it. Skip this one. The MCU will catch you up. You will catch up to things like I don't like. To me,
Just watch us. We'll watch
well,
us.
yeah,
We'll
exactly.
tell you.
Or you can do that. You can go listen to a review or something like that because people like just feel like I just feel like they're acting surprised when they shouldn't be like, oh, Taika, like the same thing with the tattoos, right? Like, I don't like those, but I know that would be a Taika thing. It doesn't make me so mad I don't want to go away from it. But there are people that there's certain jokes like, look at the way they're doing this, look at the way they're doing gore. If you're gonna have that attitude, the full movie, not the actual trailer, is gonna be much worse than for you, and you're not gonna have an enjoyable time. So that's a good thing. Like comic books, there's so many MCU products. Skip it until you get to one you like. Watch on Disney Plus. For me, I don't love Ragnarok. There's a lot of times where I think the humor hurts it. I'm interested to see what happens here because I've said this before, where Jojo Rabbit was the perfect Taika balance for me, where it was great humor, but like really serious, dire, like depressing stuff going on that I thought he did well. And we know there's certain storylines in here that might do that. So for me, I liked Ragnarok. It's always in the middle of MCU, but it's one of my favorite just go to put on, have a good time movie. So I liked it. I'm expecting to be like it, not to crack my top 10 or even the halfway mark, but I liked it. So I'm going with a positive thing. If you're somewhere in the middle, I don't know where you're going to fall on that as far as this movie, but everything I've seen from it, I like for the most part. So
Yeah, or as Espo said, just wait 90-ish days and watch it on Disney Plus.
100%.
Well, I love Thor Ragnarok, so I'm very excited for this one. I think Ragnarok is by far and away not even close to the best Thor movie. And you know what? It's just another one of those things for all those people complaining about the MCU not having any kind of director creative freedom or whatever. You can't even. You're right. This movie feels exactly like Doctor Strange did. You're right. You've already seen it. Don't even bother.
And isn't the MCU dead?
Well, I mean, it died
After this one.
It died
This
after
is the last
Endgame.
one.
It died after Endgame.
When they show Chris Hemsworth full frontal, the parents are going to be outraged, and then it's over. Done.
Yeah, exactly. So, but All right. Well, that is our trailer. We'll see what happens. Tickets still not on sale yet, but probably in the next couple of weeks we'll get that announcement. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, if we're done, are you sticking around or are you
Oh
going
yeah,
to?
I still
Okay.
got some time here.
All
Yeah.
right, all right. Well, we'll take our first ad break at that point. So, as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance network. We don't get to choose what ads come on. They can be a bit loud, so I'll give you that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right. I'm going to let Brent's been waiting for a confirmation for this. I'm going to let him as I change our background because, I think all three of us are very excited about this. Okay, official, non-official confirmation, but Brent,
Oh, I
what do
thought
we
for
talk?
sure he was gonna hit you with a Madam Web
No.
picture just to screw.
that's
He's
later.
been waiting for this.
It's from the trades, right? Like
Yeah.
it's from, and it's. I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't. We got this covered. Like this is Variety. Like you can take this one to the bank. Yes, Daredevil Disney Plus series is in the works. Matt Corman and Chris Ord are lined up to be the writers or the writing team or the head writers, whatever you want to call it, for the project. And I am freaking ecstatic about this news. This was like. Whatever day this came out late last week, I was so freaking pumped about this.
I think it was like
Friday, right?
No, it was Thursday because I made a joke
Yeah.
saying, well, but now we know how DC and Star Wars sometimes feel.
Right, because we recorded on Wednesday last week. I could not believe it. I was just sitting there, kind of watching TV, playing on my phone at the same time, and whoever dropped this in our chat, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, pause! I got to read this." This blew me away. I am so pumped about this, and I know there's all the conversations of Daredevil has to be rated R and all this stuff, which isn't true at all. But regardless, even if the tone is different, okay, great. We had 3 seasons of an amazing show over on Netflix. So either you want everything to be the same as what came before it, or you want things to be different and different interpretations. I don't know. I don't care. They got the cast right. I'm so pumped for this.
Yeah, the like you said, they named kind of the writing team at that point, which is hiring Corman and Ord. Although they've yet to announce anything regarding the show formally, they are famously co-created the USA Network series Covert Affairs. I enjoyed it with Piper Perabo and Christopher Gorman. The show aired for about 5 seasons between 2010 and 2014. They most recently worked as executive producer and co-showrunner for the NBC drama shows The Enemy Within, The Brave, as well as the CW series Containment. The Hollywood Reporter also noted that the Daredevil project will be the first Marvel Netflix series to get a new but quote-unquote continued series, making it unclear whether this is a full-on reboot, a direct continuation of the previous shows, or a combination of the two. I think I've kind of said I've been kind of leaning on the combination of the two.
Yeah, I feel like though it's been funny ever since we got Vincent D'Onofrio. It's been like a continuation but unclear, and that's all we keep getting, right? And I do think whether it's Echo or this, sooner or later we're gonna get that hard answer. And even Feige's probably gonna get asked the hard answer, like, "Hey, did all that stuff with the hand happen to Daredevil in this show?" And Feige, what would he say, right? Eventually, he might do lots of things happen in the Marvel world, and it's a big world. I don't want that. I want a yes or no. But at the end of the day, I don't really care because I had to respond to a tweet. Somebody was like, "Okay, the Daredevil show's been announced. What's the one thing you need from the original series?" And for me, it's like, we already got it. We already got Charlie
Cox. That's
yeah,
right.
that's all that
That's
matters
it.
to me.
Game on.
Yeah. And I'm the same as Brent, where I would, of course. Oh yeah, go ahead, read that. Yeah.
No, I was saying Brock
Yeah.
says I want the same different things. Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like what I'm referring to, same thing as Brent, where, of course, if they were to say, "Hey, we're doing a show almost exactly like Netflix Daredevil, the same type of rating, the graphic, the greenest," great. I, up along with Watchmen, think that's the best live action comic book show of all time. I can make a case for that being number 1. But at the same time, I had this last week where I'd watch the Batman because that's great. But then me and my kids also watched Batman Brave and the Bold, which I never watched because I think it came out a time where I was like, I just want my dark, gritty Batman. I don't need I think it was like, oh, there's a rumored Batman cartoon came out. I was this like, oh, I don't need this. But now watching it later on, watching it with the kids, in the same week, I can watch the super gritty version of Batman. And then I can watch the most family friendly, cheery, like G.I. Joe, like eat your vitamins, kids, like sort of Batman. And that's where this is where I will say for people, maybe they'll surprise me, but don't expect that greatness. Don't expect that type of tone. Expect maybe little things from it, but I would not expect, if you like Daredevil, this is great for you. If you just liked that show on Netflix and that's the only thing it has to be that version of Daredevil, then same thing. Maybe don't even watch this one because give it a shot. But I don't think they're gonna go that route. It's the same way as when writers pick up different arcs. You could look up as those first three, and even then, those 3 seasons had different creators the whole time, right? It wasn't the same showrunner each season,
right?
Steven,
And sometimes that new writer picks up where the old writer left off.
Yes.
Brubaker from Bendis or Zdarsky from Soul. But there's one thing about the rating that I feel like everybody is forgetting. Disney Plus domestically now has a mature section, has a parental control lock in place. They did not just set this up for the back catalog of the Netflix shows. There will be new content on Disney Plus using that system. Guarantee it. Otherwise, they don't do it. They would have just thrown these on Hulu and been done with it. That doesn't mean it's not a guarantee this show will be rated R or TV mature going forward, but there will be something from Disney. Like, it is possible. It's possible it won't be. I'm game either way. I don't care. But kind of what you were saying, Travis, I'm a fan of the character. I'm not a fan of one individual interpretation. And that is, especially the last, handful of years, a thing that has come up with the comic book media in general. People who only like one version of a character and screw everything else. No, if being the same actor, great, even better.
It's one of these things where, yes, we're all three of us loved the Netflix show, loved it, and it definitely got brutal at points at that point. But people, again, going back to Frank Miller, you got Bendis, you got Brubaker, and Wade, and now Soul and Zdarsky. Quesada. You've got a lot of different interpretations of this, but not many of them went like there were brutal moments, but they didn't necessarily defined their run like every single. And even Frank Miller's run, they had brutal moments, but it wasn't necessarily Sin City every single page being brutal. That's not necessarily what Daredevil is. He has his moments. We even talked about it in Born Again. He had his brutal moments, but that run, that like arc, was not necessarily brutal every single page.
No, it's also rated 13 plus.
And that's a thing where you can tone down. It's definitely the violence, but people act like Daredevil on Netflix to me was Deadpool, and even Deadpool wasn't exactly that way. There's no nudity as far as I remember in Daredevil, male or female. There's
a little bit of one time Karen changes her shirt and you see a little from the side, one time.
And that's like that. You could probably even get still PG-13 with that. Even with F-bombs, I don't even think there's that many, if any, dropped in Daredevil. I think because I was looking up to check, because I don't remember any, and people said maybe Frank Castle dropped one. So I was like, okay, that would make sense. But even then, these are all like even PG-13. MCU doesn't do that, but you could easily take that out because it's just one, right? And I think it's like Brent was saying, where I think it's just a pick up where it left off, but it's going to be, they might refer to some stuff, but it's not going to have that same tone, in my opinion. It's going to be something different. I think it will be more akin to, and All Game does have a good explanation there as far as Falcon Winter Soldier's violence or even Moon Knight's violence. Now, that's where I think the comparison is. I don't think they will go mature with this, because I think it was a mistake for Feige to be like, oh, we had this scene where Moon Knight was just wailing on a character, and they're like, do you want us to cut this? And we're like, no. And that scene was not in the finale.
That's not really what he said. Like, he really talked about like the intensity of a scene, saying, are we going to pull the punches on this? And if you go back and you think about that, okay, sure, the violence, sure. But think back to episode 5 of Moon Knight. That was really freaking heavy when you're getting into that child abuse stuff.
100%,
and they did not pull their punches there. And you could make an argument, in my opinion, that child abuse stuff that is way more heavy and intense than anything in the Daredevil show.
It is, but lots of it's off screen. When the parent takes that belt off, it's off screen. When
it is off screen. You're right.
When King bits his heads and gets his head kicked in, he's a bloody mess, right? So that's where I think that they'll try and find a line. I don't think it will be mature. I think nothing's going to maybe be mature until they see how Deadpool goes, honestly. And I'm with Brent. I still think you could have done, you guys are lucky they announced it's radar, great. I still think you could have done a PG-13 Deadpool and it would have worked out completely
absolutely
fine.
It would have and it could have been hilarious because Deadpool's the character that could have known the difference. But 100%. All in the Game mentions the Sam and Bucky and Walker fight. Yes, very brutal fight, but go back an episode or two earlier than that when Walker cuts off a guy's head or bashes it in with Captain America's shield. right? Like
Mhm.
to me, like that is
Hashtag not my
every bit. That's right, Walmart captain. Every bit as bloody and intense as what we saw Daredevil do. Now, the episodes with the Punisher, like say the Punisher versus the Kingpin, when the Punisher was in jail and had his little hallway fight scene, like that's a little different. The Punisher character and that show way more intense and bloody and stuff than anything Daredevil did. But Daredevil is just a super versatile character. He works in these light-hearted moments.
Yes.
He also works in these really heavy, intense moments. That's what some like the Punisher, right? Like, could you do a PG-13 version? Absolutely. But he doesn't lend himself to lighthearted stories, right? Like in fairy tales and things like that. Daredevil can just run the gamut with it.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, as on the he wants 8 full hour episodes, not 6, or you can go as Bubs are at 1 8-hour episode at that point.
I would be so down. Book a day off work and just watch this 8-hour.
I'm in. Yeah.
Just a
It's-
movie pretty much of Daredevil.
Like we're all saying, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be definitely probably the most divisive in a sense of
Oh, yeah.
fandom, in the sense of where people are gonna lie on this. We have Charlie Cox coming back. We've heard a lot of rumors that most of the main cast from the original series is coming back at that point. I mean, you look at how happy the former showrunners talked about it when this was announced. Some of the former cast being very excited about it. And it's just, let's right now be happy that this is finally becoming a thing. We might even see again, Echo is starting filming. It is getting ready. Its principal photography is beginning. Charlie Cox, Daredevil, is heavily rumored to be in that one. He might even have an appearance in She-Hulk. We are in a time where we're bringing these characters back. Let's, again, I'm speaking rationally about fandom. Let's enjoy what we have, celebrate what we have, and then wait and see to see if it's going to be your thing. If it's not, that's okay. If it becomes your thing, great. Welcome to the party.
And I guarantee you, and I'm not trying to throw stones, but I guarantee you I'm going to get some of that. So at one point, there was a fandom that just wanted a cut of a movie, right? And they got that. But then now they want a whole universe of a movie.
Uh-oh, here we go.
If you were to ask maybe a year ago, they say, hey, they're going to do this Netflix or they're going to do this Disney Plus Marvel show. It's going to be a little more toned down, a little bit of a different tone. Do you want Cox or no? Everyone would have said yes, but now because they got him, now the next thing is, well, we got Cox, but now it has to be like the gritty Daredevil. But I think originally people just wanted Cox back. Like we just want him to do anything. If the character is in MCU world, we would like Charlie Cox to be playing it. The same way some people think that with Hugh Jackman. I personally don't want that, but I think for me, I'm just happy that has happened. That was the first step, and I like the original cast, sure, but even then, I would have said you can only have Cox and no one else. I'm taking Cox.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
taking all the Cox. As
I'm about to say is that you keep on throwing that last name out there.
That's fine.
Vimmer.
Yeah.
Sign
It's Vimmer.
everybody up for all the Cox. That's fine.
Disney Plus
And
can give you a Cox
it's-
subscription when you want it. You know?
I mean, it's the if you give a mouse a cookie scenario.
Yes.
And like for me, I've had 3 things I've wanted to come from the Defenders saga: Cox, D'Onofrio, and Berthol. I've got 2 of them right now, right? Like I'm thrilled, and I don't know about Berthol or not, but like I am thrilled. If we get Deborah Ann Wool or Eldon Henson or whoever, fantastic. Yes, please sign me up. And if you give me the choice, I would take the Defenders continuity. I would. Yeah. But if you also tell me, no, that's fine. Okay, that's great too. Ultimately, I don't think they're going to tell us. You think we're going to find out? I don't think they will. I don't think anything is going to happen to directly confirm or contradict the Defenders shows. And that's fine. That's totally fine. So if you want to count, like if you want to put Vincent D'Onofrio at the top of your MCU villains, I think you can make that argument in a way you couldn't do 6 months ago. I still can't based off just one episode of Hawkeye. I'm not willing to give credit for the show yet. But if I wanted to just say top Marvel villains, okay, now we can talk. I'm just thrilled to have one of my favorite characters coming back in the prime, proper, no asterisks next to it MCU.
Yes.
All in the Game, I think, has a
clip the Cox part. Yeah, just be careful with that clipping. But all right.
Yeah. Manscaped. If you want to clip the Cox, But hey, it's the same way as like, am I a fan of excited for the movie coming out next year? No. Excuse me as I die over here. But I'm getting Michael Keaton's Batman back. I'm just happy Michael Keaton's come back, and that's how I kind of feel about this, where I'm not going to be greedy until later on. Like there was a very strong chance Feige could have looked at this one. You know what? Even though if you like Charlie Cox, let's recast. No matter what it is, even if it was a gritty series, like, no, let's recast because we don't want to bring on an actor that was, a part of a different universe, yada yada yada. I'm just happy we got Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, and whether it's She-Hulk we see him, which is rumored, Echo rumored, or this show that is rumored about high trade. Like again, one, we could get a show, but two, now him in different appearances, him in Spider-Man, hopefully him in more Spider-Man
and
stuff,
a new suit.
Yeah, like I'm really excited for all this stuff.
If he is in She-Hulk, do you think we see him in costume? In She-Hulk.
I've said before, I think it'd be really, really funny to see that yellow costume suit just for the joke. But if we don't see him in costume, we're obviously seeing him in a lawyer sequence.
I think I could be the reverse, where maybe we'll see him in a lawyer sequence. I think we might just see him in a dating sequence where
fine.
Some friend might be like, hey, I got a lawyer too. You guys would get along great because you have the same profession.
Yeah.
I think if you see a suit, it is like Chris said, a joke or a credit to maybe allude to him doing something down the line. I actually don't think it will be a crime fight. I think it easily could be. It could be just like that Spider-Man animated series episode way back in the day where he did a bit of both, right? But I would be fine with just it was just Matt for now. Just almost build that up to when we get to Echo, and he could just be a lawyer for a little bit. And then when we see that suit, it's like, wow, So that's my prediction.
The dating makes sense. Yeah. Like Jennifer Walters is a very promiscuous character. Mm-hmm. Matt Murdock is a very promiscuous character.
She-Hulk.
You're right. She-Hulk. My mistake. Yeah. But Matt Murdock definitely gets around, right? And so that'd be hilarious. I think most likely the most likely place we see the Daredevil costume is the Echo show. And I do firmly believe he will be a part of that, especially with Kingpin's involvement, which, granted, not announced, but is so obvious, right? I feel
he's dead.
He's dead, sure.
He died in that alley.
That show's starting production. That show has started production already. Within like a month, we're going to know probably that Kingpin is 100%. In it. And, probably won't be too much longer after that we're going to find out Charlie Cox is in it. And if nothing else, by the time we get to the press tour for She-Hulk, those questions are going to be asked.
I was going to ask you guys, because I know it's back this year, and I know they've gone back and forth with doing stuff, especially with D23, but do you think Marvel Prime MCU will be at Comic-Con this year?
No.
Because remember that year they did that whole rollout of the investor, or
2019 was the San Diego Comic-Con that did the Phase 4 slate.
Yeah, and then at D23 though, that's when they revealed She-Hulk, Moon Knight. Mm-hmm. So it's like they've done that before, where even if they've had both things back to back, they've appeared at both and dropped stuff. I'm just saying that I feel like Echo and a cast reveal of hey, D'Onofrio and Cox, I think you could see that at something like a Comic-Con. I don't know if they're going. I just know it's happening. Obviously, that hasn't been said if they're doing it or not. But if they do the double, I could see them doing something like that where it's an announcement, but it's kind of like an announcement we all kind of knew. But it's still, if there's people there, it gives them something to cheer about. But again, I don't know. I was just asking if they will be there or not. So
I don't think so.
I mean, they'll be at one or the other, if not both.
Of course, yeah.
And so, they're definitely going to be a part of D23.
We're skipping D23. Sorry,
to go to San Diego Comic-Con. No.
yeah.
No, so whenever D23 is, this fall or whenever
September
it is,
9th to 11th.
Okay, perfect. So that's probably like the latest we'll have to wait for any kind of official announcement. But we'll get trade reports prior to that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right. So let us move on from Daredevil to this lovely background.
So, I hate this is the time I gotta bow out, Madam Web. This is the very tough thing. Now, this is what I'm gonna say before I go, because I was so mad last week that I forgot this. So I wanted to, if you guys would allow me, add an additional fact or fiction that you had the poll last week, because I had this, I've written it down. So my fact or fiction is Thor will make less than Doctor Strange opening weekend, but make more overall when all said and done.
I'll say
fiction.
Yeah, I'll say fiction too, just because of July 4th weekend.
And just to be clear, fiction to the opening weekend part.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, I'm actually gonna say fact, because I think the summer is gonna be a bit busier. People are gonna spend some money, but I do think this school will have better legs. You'll have more people go to it because it has that Shrek thing where there's inappropriate jokes, but the kids don't get them at a certain age. So that's kind of my prediction. Because before that, you got Jurassic World Dominion, you got Top Gun, you got Lightyear. Some people might be like, you know what, I've spent a lot of money. Yeah, sure, July 4th is a big weekend, but that's my prediction. I don't think it's gonna beat Strange, but I think opening weekend. But I think overall it will in the run. I do. So that's my fact.
Okay.
That's my hot take.
There you go. All right.
So, and with that, I bid you
Check out
adieu.
Geek First. You're doing a doubleheader tonight and
No,
tomorrow
fuck those
morning. So.
guys. They don't do. They have no talent. They're pretty okay, as our last iTunes review says. Pretty okay.
Pretty okay.
But yeah,
well, unlike us, we have to have more DC content, right?
100%, and that's why I'm pretty okay because I don't even have my header right. Because I'm actually at Travis Beast now. Because some guy at Travis now who hasn't tweeted in 3 years. That every year I tweet him and say, "Hey, you gonna give this up yet? You gonna give this up yet?" No, he hasn't tweeted in 3 years, but he has my handle. But Travis.
I feel that pain. I feel that pain.
Yeah, Travis Beast now. Find me popping randomly here on Geek First. Everybody, I know you guys got a long weekend coming up, so have a long weekend for all the Americans. And thank you for letting me crash for a little bit, gentlemen.
Yep.
See you later, buddy.
See ya.
All right, so I'm gonna add this here just because. Yes, hashtag Madam Web is the blueprint.
There you go.
All right, so we got some Madam Web news. As you know, Marvel Alliance is your Madam Web headquarters central for all the latest news. We got an additional casting. Ghostbusters Afterlife actress Celeste O'Connor joined Sony's Marvel movie Madam Web. She's been cast in the upcoming film for the Sony's universe of Marvel characters, no longer Spider-Man characters. O'Connor's role has not been announced, and they will appear in the comic book adventure alongside Dakota Johnson, who is playing the title character, as well as Sydney Sweeney of Euphoria fame. Did Dakota Johnson really get confirmed? I didn't think that we knew her role specifically.
I just thought it was announced by trades like Variety, Deadline, etc.
Yeah, so this is coming from Variety. This is, but anyways, the movie will serve as the origin story for Madam Web, a clairvoyant whose psychic abilities allow her to see within the spider world itself. In the Marvel Comics, Madam Web is a paralyzed elderly woman with just basically she connects to the life support system resembling a spider web, and her supernatural abilities prove to be greatly beneficial to Spider-Man and his arachnid aliases. S.J. Clarkson, a Marvel alum through Jessica Jones and The Defenders, is directing Madam Web. Matt Samana and Burke Shapless, the duo behind Jared Leto's vampire anti-hero The Legend Morbius, are writing the screenplay. And
I've never had more confidence than hearing that right there.
Yes, exactly. Madam Web is the first Sony modern comic book adaptation to feature a woman in the headlining role. It is one of several Spider-Man related spin-offs in production. It is set to release June 7th, 2023. So I don't have too much to say after that. I really enjoyed Ghostbusters Afterlife. Her character was really a great kind of balance to the other supporting cast members of it. So again, I have no theory. I think I've seen one theory, and I kind of laughed at it just because it's been an ongoing joke between Travis, you and me, that O'Connor might be introduced as a Jackpot.
Oh, God.
Nothing outside of just some random theories at that point. When I saw Jackpot, I said, "Okay, I'm totally bringing that up on this show."
I don't know anything about O'Connor. Looking at her IMDb, I haven't seen any of it. So, I just gotta trust the producers behind the movie, and when have they ever steered us wrong? So,
yep. So, Eddie Caswell in the chat. Afterlife was really good. I'm all in for.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah, exactly. So. All right, so moving on from Madam Web to It Was Agatha All Along. We've got our lovely spinoff with some kind of interesting announcements just coming as official as we can get with looking at, thanks to Reddit user at this point. It seems to have revealed the talented story writers from behind WandaVision and Moon Knight will be boarding the spinoff alongside the announced head writer, Jack Schaefer. This is coming. The first writer is coming from Pete Cameron, who wrote WandaVision episode on a very special episode and all new Halloween Spooktacular, as well as Moon Knight's The Friendly Type and the Tomb. The second is Cameron Squires, who wrote the Breaking the Fourth Wall installment of WandaVision as well. And finally, there's Laura Donney, the writer of previously on the 8th episode of WandaVision. So writers, major writers, and all coming from episodes they've written for WandaVision. So this definitely works for me in the sense of, well, you pulling the talent behind WandaVision and bringing them back in to do this. So I don't think we have a date yet of when it's starting production. I think they were saying at least they're looking at either airing late 2023, if not 2024. My guess is 2024, if that.
I would think if it's going to be in 2023, they'd probably go into production soon. Sure, they have time if they're in production earlier 2023 to be later that year. Those episodes are basically episodes 5 through 8, for the record. Mm-hmm. And episode 8 previously on, I maintain, is Marvel's best, like the Disney Plus show's like best hour or however many like best episode of content they've had to date. That right there, like they worked on that show. It's Agatha. They're obviously familiar with the character. Perfect.
Yeah. All right, and last, and not ending on a great note, because I think Brent and I have probably a similar opinion about the possibility of this. Maybe not.
Depends on how they use it.
Depends how they use it. Yes. So Stan Lee returns to Marvel Studios with Genius Brands POW Entertainment licensing deal. This is from the Hollywood Reporter as an exclusive. They exclusively revealed that Marvel Studios inked a 20-year deal with Stan Lee Universe to use the likeness and name of the comic book creator in movies, TV, Disney theme parks, merchandise, and other experiences. Marvel Studios, thanks to the deal, will now have the right to use Stan Lee's name, likeness, and signature on big and small screens on top of images, footage, and audio recordings related to him. Disney theme parks, cruise lines, and park merchandise will now be able to use his name, voice, and likeness and signature. According to the original report, insiders indicate the arrangement doesn't necessarily set the stage for Stan Lee's famous cameos to return to Marvel movies, at least in the traditional sense. Lee's likeness will not be used in VR and in video games. Stan Lee Universe was formed by Genius Brands International and POW Entertainment in 2020 for the writer's non-Marvel creations, although they also hold ownership over the likeness and name. The deal from Genius Brand CEO said it really ensures that Stan, through the digital technology and archival footage and other forms, will live in the most important venue, the Marvel movies and the Disney theme parks. It's a broad deal. So, kind of like you said, this did not get much praise, at least when this was announced at that point. People are jumping to like, oh, they're going to start digitally putting them in cameos, things like that, when they have the possibility of that, but they haven't said they're going to do that. It just allows them to merchandise, again, his license and things like that. My ickiness feeling about this is just because of towards the end of Stan's life, there was a lot of bad blood and a lot of stuff going on with his family, particularly I think I can't remember which family member at that point, just kind of trying to get more money out of them. It became very, very bad in the sense of a lot of arbitration and things like that. And so it just rubs me the wrong way of how this was worded. Now, Disney necessarily hasn't said what their next steps are. Marvel Studios using this at this point. So I'm going to be kind of waiting to see, but I'm kind of cool with them not doing cameos. I don't want a digital cameo of it. I'm okay with, I guess, licensing and things like that for products, but I don't need to see another Stan Lee cameo.
So, as far as traditional Stan Lee cameos goes, we've seen throughout the movies and television shows, please don't do that. Please don't do that. If they want to allude to him other ways, there's a bunch of family photos in the background of a house set or something, and he's one of them. Like that kind of thing, totally fine with me. If they want to use them at theme parks, like I'd be personally okay with they have like the little animatronic people that basically like give a speech that was a famous speech of his or whatever. Personally, I'd be fine with that too. And I feel like Stan Lee would want to be involved with Marvel still. Like I feel like he would be if he could make that choice for him. So for me, it all comes down to what do they ultimately do with him. I don't want him to like be treated like as a character in a movie or in a TV show. Like that's what I don't want them to do. But these things are like at Avengers Campus at Disneyland, put up a picture of him and a plaque or something like that, or just a thing discussing like about his life. Like, because right now I've never been there, but what I've read, there's nothing about Stan Lee at Avengers Campus. It'd be awesome if something there was included.
Well, especially when, for example, like using Stan's speech to their Marvel Studios welcome back to the movies. Like that's perfectly fine with me. That's
Absolutely.
okay. Yeah, that's the right way to use, the licensing. It's just the way the story kind of came out, everyone jumped to, oh, I'm not cool with this whole idea of him going back into camos. This, if you read the article, again, it said it allows them to do it. Now, they didn't say they were going to do it. It just allows them the opportunity to do it if they so choose. But I think we're all on the same page. Eddie Caswell saying no more cameos. I just feel like they can do something else instead. Again, merchandising, different things, Funko Pops, all the stuff at that point. So, but like you said, it all depends on how they use it. All right, so that is all the news for this week. So we're going to take our next ad break before we get into listener feedback, Fact or Fiction, and Comic Book Club. So as you know, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose the ads come on. They can be a bit loud, so I'll give you that 3 count to turn that volume down before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, so Brent got some feedback this week. He put out the Spidey signal. What do we got for questions?
Yeah, we got a few this week. We're gonna start off with from Travis Hines. What is the worst helmet in the MCU, and why isn't it anywhere near as bad as Diggle's helmet in Arrow?
Got to throw that DC stuff in there, right?
The second answer is because, as cool of a character as Diggle was and is, his helmet was god awful. The worst helmet in the MCU. Like, I'm trying to think, like, how many helmets, like. I wouldn't put any of the Iron Man helmets in there. So how many other helmets have there been? I
would go with, personally right now, I would say when Cap puts on his original suit in Winter Soldier, it threw me. It just, I don't know what it was from the first Avenger, but when he put the suit back on in Winter Soldier, I don't know, something didn't jive about it with me. The helmet, that is.
If I was going to go Cap, I'd have to go with the helmet piece from the Avengers movie. From the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, okay. And all in the games with you on that one. Avengers Cap helmet.
Other than that, that's my answer. That's the worst one. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the fit goes, I guess the Thor one from this trailer that looks too big for him. But I maintain it's a cool looking, albeit Wolverine inspired helmet design.
You're never going to see it now. If you haven't thought about it, you're never going to see it. Eddie says in the chat, I miss Thor's helmet from the first film. Yeah.
100%. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep. Selman of Steel, you guys had a Fact or Fiction a few weeks ago about Tony Stark creating King. Thinking about it, with them changing Ultron's origin to being created by Stark instead of Pym, could King be a relative to Hank Pym or Hope, with Hope being in the quantum realm and King showing up in Ant-Man 3? I feel it might be possible. Do you guys think they would make this kind of change? What do you think about it? I absolutely think they would be willing to make that kind of change.
Yeah.
Whether or not they will, at this point, flip a coin. I guess I would maybe go 60-40 that they're still going to connect it to Reed Richards, connect King to Reed Richards, but they certainly would do this type of change if that's the story they wanted to tell.
Yeah, it would not be surprising to me, and I'm still hoping for my Fact or Fiction that it's related to Tony Stark, just because, again, I love ticking off the people saying another villain and he's dead.
Yes, please.
But it does fit the idea of kind of Hank and what he's been able to do in the quantum realm itself. So some relative that found in a way to really harness the ability and double down in what the quantum realm could do. Yeah, it could definitely be an interesting adaptation into the MCU, their version of it. But I think some part of us are thinking it's almost too easy. It'll be too easy just to ignore the idea of that in the comics it's related to Reed. But again, I wouldn't be upset. It'd be cool just to see that.
And finally, from Omari Daniels, what's your preferred episode length for Marvel TV shows? Do you prefer the 6 episodes of Disney Plus or 13 episode format like the Netflix shows?
13, I've learned sometimes in a lot of series, there's still the problem of filler. I'm not saying let me go back. There's not a problem with filler, it's just how much. But I think 9 to 10, I think I like that. I think that is a good it gives enough time, and if they need to have a filler episode, it doesn't give them a lot of room, but to have one really kind of quote unquote filler episode. I think 13, yeah, it's nice to have the one, but I think even at some points they don't need 13. I think 9 to 10 is where I'm at.
I would agree about 9 to 10. I probably would broaden it to 8 to 10. In reality, I wish they would just mix it up more. Like some shows just feel like they could use a 7th episode. Maybe some really only needed 4 episodes. You know what I mean? Like let's just look at the Book of Boba Fett. Like they didn't have 7 episodes of story about Boba Fett there, so it got a lot of padding with a lot of Mando stuff. Now that Mando stuff was awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it was in the wrong show, right? So it's like just be willing to do the 3 episodes or the 4 episode story.
I want to point out because my response to All in the Game, he says no Namor talk this week. I said nope because someone sneezed on that image and that wasn't cool for them to do.
Yeah, indeed, no.
All in the Game saying 8 for me. Help retain the highest production values. Yeah, and again, time wise, as close to an hour as possible. You know.
Yeah, realistically, most of the time,
drama. I get the comedies. I get that. You know, but it was interesting hearing that Miss Marvel is running closer to that kind of 45, 47 minute window. I was not expecting.
Oh, I didn't.
That.
I didn't see what the runtimes were. Those 2 episodes that the reviewers got.
Yeah.
I do think like I don't. Okay, yes, blah blah blah. 20 minutes of credits. All those jokes aside, I don't care about those whatever.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's no different than a movie having fine. People want movie level productions and stuff like that. Well, you're gonna have movie level credits, right? Fine with me. But I would like that timestamp, that runtime, to be in that 50-minute range, with pretty much the only exception of when they drop 2 episodes at one time, and I'm gonna try and watch them before work. Kenobi. Yeah. But other than that, yeah, give me that 50+ minute of a runtime.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. Thank you for those questions, all. We appreciate it. And Brent, your turn for Fact or Fiction. So let me pull up the ones from last week. All right. So Fact or Fiction number 1, as I'm scrolling. Here we are. So number 1. We'll see Earth 838 again in the next 3 years. 56% said fact, 44% said fiction. Number 2, the Kang we meet in Ant-Man 3 will die in the same movie. 33% said fact, 67% said fiction. And number 3, Sam Raimi will direct Doctor Strange 3. 57% said fact, 43% said fiction. So, Brent, what do you have this week?
All right, a couple of Thor-related ones. We're going to start off with Thor: Love and Thunder will top Thor: Ragnarok at the box office.
All right, so Thor: Love and Thunder will top Thor: Ragnarok at the box office.
Which I'm double-checking on Ragnarok, but I want to say it was 867.
I say yes, just because...
854, I was wrong, 854.
Ragnarok was something that it was a departure from what the previous 2 movies, kind of the tone and things like that. A lot of the general audience really do like Ragnarok at this point, and those that they see the trailers at that point, they see Jane coming back, they see it's kind of a fun road trip movie. I think that is the goal, and I think they will achieve it.
Yeah, Jane, following up Ragnarok, the Guardians, all of these things. Yeah, I think they're going to top it. So 854 is what Ragnarok got. So I guess I'm saying 855 and higher. I'm going fact.
Yeah, and again, it is Marvel, Disney know how to market this movie. Look in every single trailer. We have seen Thor. We have seen the Guardians. We have seen Jane. We have seen Korg. You know, they know the things that the audience that liked Ragnarok are waiting to see again.
Okay, number 2. If Gore is killed in Thor: Love and Thunder, it will be Jane who gets the killing blow.
Yeah, I could. I'll say fact on that one.
I'm gonna go fact, but I'm in that like 60-40 range. Like it's not gonna be Valkyrie, it's not gonna be Korg or whatever. But I do think that it would be, in this case, pretty awesome if it did end up being Jane.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Yeah, I'll be curious to see what your third fact or fiction are because I've got to write this one down before I forget it for next week for me.
This one is unrelated.
Okay,
My third
all right.
one.
Yep. So
All right, so my third one is simply that Rosario Dawson as Claire Temple will appear in the new Daredevil show.
ooh, it's gonna be interesting depending on with her schedule at that point. She's starting filming Ahsoka. They haven't done Daredevil, so there's time.
She's gonna be done with Ahsoka probably.
She'll
by
be
the
done
time
with
they start
Ahsoka.
Daredevil.
Yeah. But what other obligations does she have for other appearances?
And she may not be done appearing as Ahsoka
Yeah.
in Mando or something.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go fiction. I want it, but it's not a character that is one of those that people say, "Oh, we need to have Claire Temple back again." She's just not. Again, I like the character. I would love it, but I just don't see her being that one.
I ultimately agree. I'm gonna go fiction as well, but I will throw in this little asterisk of if we find out that like Jessica Jones and the Punisher, like a couple more of the title characters are coming back, I think that drastically increases the odds
True.
of her making an appearance as well. But
Very
for right
true.
now, I'm going fiction.
Yeah. So, On the Games does have a really good question. Real question is, which sequel will not outperform its predecessor?
That is a really good question. Black Panther is a very real possibility for that. Especially I think it's legitimate questions because right now, where are we at with China? Right, Thor Ragnarok made over $100 million in China. So I'm still calling it like that's a big deal. Like that's a lot of money from the China market. And people are still questioning where the box office is at. Eddie Caswell, Aquaman 2.
I know it's DC.
that might depend on how the Amber Heard trial goes, I guess.
Oh,
But,
stop it. We don't talk about that.
But the thing is, I really don't talk about it that much. I haven't followed that much. But regardless, yeah, in general, though, like, there was this time historically you did not automatically assume sequels would do better. Marvel has been a little bit different with that, but it hasn't always happened. Age of Ultron didn't that make less than the first Avengers movie? I'd have to look it up, but I thought
look it up. But I'm almost certain that did better. It's definitely not critical.
No, you might be right. 1.4 billion.
Yeah.
For Age of Ultron.
You put Avengers in the title, people keep coming out.
Nope, Avengers 1.5.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Right.
So I was right. Age of Ultron. No, I mean it got really close, and they were
Yeah.
obviously both. Combine them, and they're just shy of 3 billion between the two. But I don't think it's a sure thing. That said, for all the reasons we've talked about, all in the game. Thank you, Ultron made 100 million less. Thor Ragnarok. I feel, I don't know. I think that really elevated Thor in a way that just continued throughout Infinity War and Endgame. I think this is going to be huge.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we will put those out on Sunday afternoon, and I will come up. But like I said, I got to remember that before go to bed tonight to write that one fact or fiction down that I have. But all right, so we've got Comic Book Club Annihilation number 4. So I want to say, I think right now, out of the 4 issues we've read, I think this is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, this was a great issue. I loved all the stuff with Thanos in this one, and like having to deal with like Phyla and having to deal with Drax, and that like just Thanos was a very big part of this one, and I really really like it. The thing is, I keep forgetting Thanos is not wearing like his standard armor, and so I'm like, is that Thanos or is that this other guy? But no, it's him. It's him.
And I love the juxtaposition of following Drax and Drax's just pursuit of killing Thanos, like that one. And we get to learn a lot about, not only, we get those other moments with Star-Lord and Nova and their plan. And I like, we had mentioned we couldn't remember you and I, of when this was taking place. And they do make reference to Civil War happening at that point. So we know where exactly this is happening. But just, I agree. I love the Thanos part just because a lot of times many people think Thanos is very one-dimensional, and to some extent they're not necessarily wrong, but we get his plan, we get his ideas of what he's planning on doing, and his realization that, oh, yeah, Annihilus is, not the person I want to be totally aligned with, so I'm willing to kind of cut bait and, and release Galactus.
Right, and at the same time, like, they do acknowledge, like, almost a fear of Galactus, like a concern, a worry of, like, if he is to power back up. And it's just, like, they kind of make you feel bad for Galactus. Like, the way that they're, like, they are letting him feed,
Yeah.
but just enough to keep him alive to keep the engines running.
Exactly. They bring that up a few times at that point. It's like, oh my gosh, poor Galactus.
Right, poor Galactus, whoever would have thought.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, so Drax eventually crashes into the ship as, Thanos is trying to get, basically release all the holds on Galactus, and Moonstar is trying to stop her own father from saying, no, you have to stop. You have to let Thanos do it. He says, I don't care. And he sees death and then is killed. Maybe.
Yeah, shoves his hand right through, rips his heart out, and just pushes it through. And Thanos, has the reaction that I feel anybody would have in that scenario of, huh, interesting.
I know.
Okay.
Didn't see that coming.
It's interesting. You got that right, I guess,
Yeah.
but that's not what I was expecting.
Yep, and there you go, Drax. You've killed us all. Thank you.
Yeah, allegedly. We'll find out.
Allegedly, yeah. So, all right, so we got issue 5. I think we'll kind of put this out there because I mentioned it kind of you and I offline when we were starting this. I think we'll add in the 2 Aftermath issues just to kind of like bring the series to a close.
Sure.
At that point. So,
That works.
so we've got 5 and 6, and then we got 2 more Aftermath issues. So we got a little bit of time before we kind of work on our next one. But yeah, so all right, volume 110, another nice big episode at that point. So yeah, we've got 2 weeks till the premiere of Miss Marvel. So only next week will be our kind of last week of, content less in the sense of Marvel Alliance, but we don't want to rub it in too much. There are other shows that say that we're just sitting here eating large, and we're lucky. We understand that.
They're not wrong.
They're not wrong. All right, Brent, tell people how they can follow you.
Sure, Brentak Prime on Twitter, and the same over on TikTok. And again, I'm telling you, go to TikTok. It's way more fun than Twitter and all those other places are.
Every day I get closer to joining TikTok, not because I'm creating not because I want to create content, just because I want to see all the stuff.
It's fun. It's just there's so much funny stuff there.
Well, very true, very true. So before I give you my stuff at that point, again, we want to thank our official sponsor one more time, organicpricebooks.com. Use that code MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. Use that a limited amount of times. They're there to help. Enjoy all the goodness at OPB. You can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balga. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. Remember, a new episode dropping this Sunday morning at our new day and time for our monthly drops. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel 8 Podcast. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, factor fictions, ask questions. Continue to rate and review this show on the solo feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever platform of choice may be. Also, forgot to plug it at the beginning, and Mr. Snell was on, forgot to plug his own stuff. Check out Geek Verse Saturday night. You have the roast of Taylor Field. It is going to be for fun, but also for charity. All funds going to support the efforts in Ukraine. So I don't know what their goal is. I know it's a modest goal at that point, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you join in for that. And, you got a last second comment all in the game. They can spend the entire episode looking at the Blue Beetle and Aquaman suits with their lack of content. Yes, but they're excited about that. They're very excited about that. Indeed. But again, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us in the live chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. Well, for post-credits, we're going to talk our predictions for Obi-Wan Kenobi at that point. Our hopes, our dreams. And Brent, you had our rationalization. Why are we talking Star Wars on a Marvel podcast?
Because Marvel publishes Star Wars comic books. So I'm like, it's Marvel. It's all Marvel.
Yep. So, but yeah. So, what are some of your hopes and predictions for Obi-Wan Kenobi?
You know, it's weird. Like, I feel like I should have more predictions. I really, outside of like, I keep seeing people think that Mace Windu's gonna pop up, so maybe that. Like, I really don't have what I feel like is great predictions. I'm really excited, like, for the show. Like, I am really genuinely, like, all my snark aside about how, like, you know, it's a prequel about a character we've seen die before, so obviously we shouldn't care about it. Like, I am genuinely excited about it. Like, the trailers look so much fun. Like, I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be cool to see Darth Vader again and see the two of them. And I know there's all these debates and comments of, like, how does that line up with episode 4? Thank God Star Wars casual status means I can just ignore all that and just have fun with it.
Yeah, I think some of my hopes, and I would love to see a live action look back at Hayden and Ewan being you know, Hayden outside of the Darth Vader armor as Anakin again in some Clone War fights
the
that we
Clone
hadn't
Wars
seen.
time?
Yeah, Clone
Yeah.
Wars time. I think that we're gonna see it. I hope we see it. What I really enjoy and looking forward to is seeing more of that history I've only seen in the comics or Legends, Obi-Wan during this time that we don't have a lot of information about. Yeah, okay, he's watching over Luke, but he has to go off, as we see in the trailers, have to go off planet. What is his connection with this Inquisitor, this female Inquisitor that she seems to know about? What are we going to see? Like, I don't know if my prediction is we're probably not going to see Force Ghost Liam Neeson, but I predict that we're going to hear the voice of Liam Neeson as he connects in the Force.
That'd be cool. I had thought it'd be kind of neat if like you see like Rex or someone, you know, the clones like Tamara Morrison reprising that role would be kind of neat. I also thought like it. I like the Inquisitors. Like they were cool in Jedi Fallen Order, so that'll be fun to see. You know, the helicopters, the lightsaber, and things. Yeah, sure, that's great. There's a Darth Vader comic. Well, I haven't read very many Star Wars comics, but there's a Darth Vader one from a few years ago where he's basically just going around hunting Jedi that were still alive that like survived Order 66. I think
I want to say that's Charles Soule's run.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to even get a glimpse of that, like to see him hunt down and kill another Jedi. Like that would be pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Eddie in the chat saying, "Love to see an epic Vader and Obi lightsaber battle." Oh, I think you're gonna get that.
I hope they play Duel of the Fates. You know,
yeah,
they did in the trailer. Fine, own up to
did.
it. Service the fans. Own up to it.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I'll watch it after because in Celebration, John Williams did come back to live perform at 90 years old, conduct the orchestra for the theme he wrote for this series. He never got to write it, an Obi-Wan theme. He got to write the theme for Obi-Wan, so I'm very excited to actually hear that. Then I'll pull up the video to see that, but that's gonna be cool. It's a limited series right now. That's okay with me. I'm very excited about this because my remembrance of seeing Revenge of the Sith, that at the first time seeing it in theaters with hearing Luke's theme when he is giving Luke to Owen and Beru, hearing that theme and seeing him kind of reach out a little bit for it, it just choked me up just because, okay, I know what happens to the character, but just knowing how that movie just ends on such a downward trend of just like, we know where we're going, but I want to, we're seeing a man who's utterly defeated. How does he continue on? What is his motivation outside of just protecting Luke? So
I know she'd be quite a bit younger because this takes place well before The Mandalorian. Do you think there's any chance we see Ahsoka show up?
I'm gonna go no, and I don't want Ahsoka to show up in this show.
Okay.
Because the reason I say that, and I've gone on record many times, Ahsoka's my favorite, even though she says she's not a Jedi, she's my favorite Jedi next to Yoda and Obi-Wan of all time. This show really needs to be focused on Obi-Wan, and I think you bring in a character, it'd be basically bringing like Grogu into this. It would. Okay.
Well, Grogu obviously has to be in this. You gotta have Baby Yoda.
You gotta have Baby. But I think Ahsoka would take me out of it at that point. I'd be excited, but I'd
potentially
be like,
overshadow.
Yeah, overshadowing at that. But I want this series to be solely focused on Obi-Wan and this dynamic he's having, and of course his when he makes that revelation that Darth Vader is Anakin. Because as far as he knows, Anakin is dead. He doesn't know who this Darth Vader is.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, he thinks when he walked away, Anakin is dead.
Okay, I'm gonna show my ignorance here, Clay,
Yeah.
Katie. I'm sorry, I don't care. In episode 4, when Vader kills him, did he know that he was Anakin at that time?
What, in episode 4? Yeah,
Yeah.
I think, he knows at that point. But I'm going on the
So
idea
when
that,
does he find out? Yeah,
that's what I'm saying
That's
in
a great
this-
question.
because spoilers for Rebels, 3, 2, 1. If you have not seen Rebels, I'm going to give a big kind of spoiler.
Go watch it. It's better than Clone Wars.
Oh, stop it. It's good. It's just different. There is a battle sequence between Ahsoka and Vader. And in that, she has the sudden realization of who Vader is. And that moment where she realizes who Vader is just one of the most heart-wrenching realizations she had ever had at that moment. So I want to see that with Obi. If he truly does not know until that moment when he faces Vader for the first time. Because it goes back to the thing when he says in episode 4, when I first faced you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
I like that idea a lot. And it makes so much sense that it almost feels like a gimme. Like, like they kind of have to do it.
Yep. So I'm excited. We get 2 episodes. If you're listening to this, hopefully you're going to be watching some Obi-Wan this weekend. Check out Star Wars Alliance. They're live Friday night. That'll be dropping. I'm not sure when they're going to drop that in the feeds officially, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So again, we'll be back with you next week. Stay safe out there.